So let's start because Susie will be here ASAP, I know. And the only thing we're going to do is go around on boards and commissions and say what's happening, because I think for Matthews, we need to do those board updates first, because for him to hear a little bit about what some of these boards are about. And then I want to talk about the continuing of the conversation that we had on a pre-session that you couldn't attend, Aaron, about what is the need for liaisons. Is it quarterly, is it every time, and what do the boards and commissions that you're on, what do they think, what do they want in case, I will start, actually. Yes?
As you're doing your board discussion, I'm finding that I may have to start attending some board meetings, and be good if the council liaisons could help when it comes up. We're starting to see more occasions of boards moving into the council role in terms of policy and trying to implement policy that council hasn't done. And the other thing that we're seeing is getting into the world of operational direction.
Yes.
Which when I go to them, like, council can't even do that. Mm-hmm. And so it would help us as staff, is if you see that happening, if you could help the liaisons as they're moving through that. I've seen there's more than a handful of things that have come to my attention recently.
Are there one or two examples you can give, just so I understand what you're seeing or hearing?
Well, so
did I do that on the planning commission?
Did I do that with
I don't
presentation?
know.
I hope you and Aaron did, so.
I don't know. So it'll be, where I've had to go to the airport board where they'll say, we want you to do this operationally, and that's not in the airport board's purview because they're an advisory board. We have one issue coming that we talked about today, another case of the Sustainability Advisory Board and the land the land transactions at BRAB, saying, well, we want it on the agenda, and the process is very specific to PRAB in terms of the other boards. And I've had to go to the library board in the past about directing staff operationally, and so I have a list back in my office. But I just wanted you all to know that I'm telling staff that the policy direction comes from the council. They're an advisory board to you all. Mm-hmm. And if they're starting to delve into the policy world, they need to be overt about that. And the same with operational direction. So just, you all could help us if you see it, you see a staff member struggling. That'd be a big help if you could jump in.
All right, okay, great.
Thanks.
So I am going to start with the board updates. First one I want to talk about is Front Range Passenger Rail, and that is not a city board, obviously, as I am on that board. There are target dates that Front Range Passenger Rail, along with RTD and CDOT, have to make as far as joint operations. And the first one that's coming up is March 1st, which is 2 weeks. So out of that, the governor has asked for a financial analysis, which means that each entity has got to say, what money are you bringing to the table? Front Range Passenger Rail has no money. And that's because all our money is coming from federal grants to start. So that could be a problem, as well as state funding that the governor has set up through SB 184 for rental car fees, for oil and gas dollars, and what was the other one? CPIO dollars, which is basically traffic, that we get our, what is it called, HUTF funding from. So he's redirecting some of that. But what they want, what our governor's liaison, Lisa, I don't know, 3 Lisas, and I always get mixed up. anyway, Lisa with the, what's her last name?
Kaufman.
Lisa
Oh,
Kaufman
yeah,
with the
yeah.
governor's office.
Uh-huh.
And you probably all know Putman, John Putman. He's been helping us with many issues over the years. They came up with a plan, and they showed it to Karen Baker and I. What they want to do is funding through all of the funding pools that we have, especially the $90 million from Chrissy grants, so that they can run the train from Union Station to Fort Collins as a demo by 2029. So that's 4 years, which is amazing, with no tax increase from the public. Now the national funding has gotten all screwed up, so we're not sure the Treasury Department's going to open their doors and fund what they've already promised us. So I'm pretty excited about this, and I want to bring it to council immediately, and then if it goes the way we think it's going to go, then Karen Baker and I are going to hold a big event and let the public and some of the other elected officials who are on the Northwest Corridor. The thing that I like about it is that the Northwest Corridor that is unfinished, which is Westminster, Louisville, and Broomfield, FRPR is taking that over. So we're taking that off of RTD's plate to finish the Northwest Corridor. However, they have to put in a huge amount of money. If they don't do this, it will kill the entire project. So Karen Baker is fighting really hard for us. I'm meeting with the new RTD directors that just got elected. And the interesting thing is I met with Chris Nicholson, and he needed to get back to Union Station, and he was very frustrated. He said, to get to Union Station from Longmont took me 2 hours. And I said, of course.
Yeah.
I'm glad you did that. And the new person, Joanne, she's supposed to meet with me, but she said, I can't figure out how to get there and back on my timeline. So I thought, good, that's what I want you to see. So that's that update. We had a Historic Preservation Commission retreat, and just as an FYI, the Historic Preservation Committee is doing surveys all over Longmont to find within those sections, where are the historic land, whether it's agriculture or buildings, houses that people lived in that have become historic figures. Those are expensive, and they asked me, and of course, I didn't say anything because I don't want it to be me making policy at the Preservation Commission, but they would like for council contingency funding to do part of this so that they can make local matches and grants. So just a heads up, that's coming your way. We also had the Longmont Economic Development Partnership retreat, which I thought went very well. Nothing significant coming out of that, but again, there's a little bit of policy making in LEDP that Harold was very well aware of.
Okay.
That's about, NGLA, I've only been to one meeting giving them an update. I'm going to give them an update this Thursday as on Front Range Passenger Rail and RTD, where we're going. So the rest of it is not what we're talking about. So who wants to go next? Okay,
I've
Sean.
got it up. So consortium of cities, they wanted to know how we went about, informing all of us as council members about the legislative process. So Sandy helped me out and had a great thing. And of course, Boulder said wanted to talk about actual legislative items, and it was not really quite what the prompt was, and that was just how we have a staff liaison telling us, what's down to the State House. It's listed on our website and everything like that. And then they were taking talking about actual action that their councils made. And she had examples of recent things that we had on that. to show, what we had done. But that was basically it. Usually Longmont and Boulder have some sort of, presentations prepared, and others are just kind of like, hey, we're going to do this on the fly. So they see which ones we do and how we do it and everything. It was kind of intended originally to be prepared so that when we went to the National League of Cities, that we collectively could talk about specific legislation that we wanted for the area. So like, I think that probably the best thing, since I think Chiquita and I going, would be to try to see how we could get federal funding for the rail in that section there would be the logical one, because that would be the area that we want to have completed. And I don't know, your rail,
I'm sorry, I
any sort of
missed-
federal grants that we could get and opportunities we could get from for the rail would be the only thing I could see right now that we could even kind of venture into. Because that was what the intention of this, when we talked about it over 2 months ago, that's what the intention was. Hey, many of us are headed in that direction in March. How about we have this meeting in February to bring us together for those that were going, and the county folks kind of missed the mark on it. And so we talked about these other things that were more locally legislatively run. So nevertheless, it's something I know whatever you guys would ask Chiquita and I to carry forward, we would do. So that was the intention of that. Kind of missed there. So that's the way it goes. I had parent-teacher conferences for the Airport Advisory Board liaison, so I didn't I get a chance to do that. And there was some weird stuff. There was something else going on. I think something we were doing with council for the golf advisory board. So that one was missed. And then I went to the PRAB, and PRAB is dealing with, of course, this issue around the distal and tall properties, and they're right now in still kind of a limbo setting because they ran out of time at the meeting. A lot of people were there to talk, and staff gave a good explanation of what was going on, but they're still in kind of a holding pattern because they felt like they needed a few questions answered. So they're going to come back next month and hopefully get those questions answered before they give recommendations to us.
Great.
So that was it.
PRAB is Parks and Recreation Advisory Board?
Yep.
Okay.
Sorry. Yes,
Okay.
Parks and Rec. Sorry. I know, when I first got on, I was going to, so it's like, what?
Cool. So I can go next. I don't have any updates.
You do?
There you go.
Okay.
Boom, boom.
Slacker.
I'm trying to go over mine. I did have a question about, wasn't it, I thought it was state legislative stuff.
Well,
On
that's
the
how it
consortium
ended up
cities.
being. No, it
Because
was,
in the email that I get from Nick, it said on there,
Well,
state.
so I sent this on to, they missed the point of what we had asked them to do.
Got it,
We had
okay.
asked them to do one about
You
federal
wanted
stuff
federal
that we
stuff.
could all come together because
Okay.
Lafayette was thinking about going to the National League of Cities, and Boulder probably is going to be going. So
Yeah.
it was
Okay.
like, hey, what can we do to
So-
come together? So they
okay.
totally missed it.
No, that's fine, because at the state level, something I heard today at our association and its school, but $3 billion shortfall at the state level is what the Colorado Education Association legislative staff member was telling for the state.
Because of national cuts.
I don't know. I don't know if it's the taxes, the outcome of some of these bills that have passed to kind of, to cut, to alleviate tax increase. So that's why I was wondering what would be the impacts to us at the city level, if there was discussion on that.
None of those were discussed.
Okay,
They were
okay.
talking about gun rights.
okay, got it. So, RCAB had their retreat. So this, as a non-voting member,
Sorry,
RCAB, the Resource
Thank
Conservation
you.
Advisory Board of Boulder County.
So it's not a city one.
Yeah, it's a long one, so I just go with our, yeah.
Gotcha.
It's like, I don't know what it means, it's composting stuff. It's recycling. There was an extensive discussion around the regional composting facility. I don't say a lot as a non-voting member, and I know that we have some things in the works.
Boulder County Resource Conservation,
Boulder County
He's-
Resource Conservation.
Look
Is
at
It
that.
should be
it
the
under
same.
Boulder County
It's under
first?
Boulder,
Yeah.
yeah.
Boulder County, yes, okay.
So Susie, if they're talking about composting, the county and the city are working together?
Yes,
Okay,
yes, and
okay.
so Nicole, I let Nicole take the lead on that one,
Okay,
as far as that discussion.
great.
With the work that Charlie Canavitas had started, and Harold, and things that we're seeing in our pipeline. So looking at that piece. And then it was really just looking at what direction the advisory board wants to go as far as advocating for policies to Boulder County commissioners. So we really want to, it sounded like they really want to get like fine-tuned and have specific direction. I think for the longest time it was kind of, just kind of all over the place, and some people were here. We didn't really have a direction, so now it's coming together. It's like we need to have a set direction and where we're going to go moving forward as far as advocating for dollars of Boulder County and see, and just what the needs are. So there was a lot of discussion around the composting facility, and Nicole did a great job with presenting that work.
Good.
So no, I really like her. The museum, on the 27th of this month, so next Thursday, I believe, they're having a joint meeting with the Friends of the Museum members at 5:30. The library did that a few months ago, or last fall, and it was very beneficial. So that was something that the museum, I shared the pros of having that kind of collaboration. So the museum advisory board is doing the same. And then library, they did their board roles, appointees, their elections for their chair and all that, so it was very uneventful for us. But they're working on developing their action plan, where they really want to focus more on targeting, at need or high needs students, youth, as well as elderly in the community, and kind of working on how to rearrange what they're doing now to kind of get the most bang for their buck. Youth council, it's an ongoing, they're doing their thing, they have their projects, and they're just working on it and going. So I kind of,
NLC?
no, they're
That's
not.
too bad.
Yeah.
I thought Jenny was gonna try to get them to go this year.
Yeah, they should.
No, the last few times that I've gone, she's been out of town or other meetings. So, we keep missing each other.
But they only went one time in the time I've been on council, and they did come to council for funding. And I think that would be,
They don't have budget.
Yes,
Great.
they don't have the budget. And the other, that was one of the things. But the other one was looking at the city summit over Washington DC. So finding which one would be more beneficial for the group and where were there more opportunities for workshops that they had. So I think that Jenny had mentioned several months ago that
The city
they were
summit would be
leaning
better.
towards the city summit one.
But they could go on the hill with,
Yes.
for Hill Day.
Yeah.
That's a great opportunity for them to go
Yeah.
at the capital, the nation's capital, give them opportunities to speak in front of their representatives and things like that. Just providing those opportunities for them.
And how much
And
was it
exposure.
to go? I think, we
Youth is
should look.
cheaper.
yeah.
Youth is cheaper,
It's
but I know they don't
less
have the
registration, I
budget.
think.
The registration and the stay and all that, so they don't have it within their budget to do that.
Yeah, we could,
So
that's something we should pay
should,
for
yeah.
anyway.
I agree, but I also think it would be really good, because they are a council,
There are,
to
they are.
listen to how the city council talks to the representatives and
I
what we're
agree.
asking for.
we're
And how far
still-
we gotta
yeah,
walk to get there.
Yeah.
Just saying.
That's why I'm not going this year.
Yes.
I can't.
And they're still trying to pin down a day to have a joint council-to-council meeting with us.
That would be great.
So, still working on that, and that's all I have.
Even if it's
And Walker Thrash did present to the teachers, 60 of us, 63 of us in the room. and I got to be there, so getting people signed up for the house.
Oh, yeah, that's
now
perfect.
it's
Oh,
triple.
that's great.
Yes,
Yeah.
cool, we're getting that on our end.
1 billion.
1
1
billion?
billion is what I just read,
Yeah,
state budget deficit.
1 million.
Yes.
Okay.
yeah, I
Not
was
two.
like, yeah,
Not three.
but that's a billion.
Yeah.
It's making my eye twitch a little bit.
Yeah.
That reminds me so much of you, Panther, when you. Okay, Chiquita.
Okay, I'm glad this is right here because I always forget something. Look
I
and
do
see.
too.
So Transportation Advisory Board, I forgot all my notes at home. Basically, we went over the CIP, the capital improvement projects, and also the mobile transportation mobility plan. The advisory board approved that or with some adjustments. And they also mentioned that next month we'll have RTD, we'll be doing a presentation.
Really?
Yeah, we won't be here because we'll be in Japan.
Mm.
So,
That's probably why they're having it.
Probably.
What day is that? Remember what day the meeting?
the first Monday, is it the first, whenever our Monday, Transportation Advisory
Oh,
Board
okay,
meeting
okay.
is? That's when they'll
Okay.
they'll have their presentation.
In March?
Yes. It was great. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say second Monday.
Second Monday.
Second Monday,
There we
okay.
go. Will we be here second Monday?
I don't know, let me look at.
No, I won't be here because I'll be in DC. You'll be here, so you can go.
Oh, great.
I can go for you.
Are you going to DC?
No, so yeah.
You were here.
Second Monday.
I don't have all the stats, but it looks like Ride Longmont is amazing.
10,000.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it was
10,000.
9,000 when I was at the meeting.
Yes.
So that is really, really, really good, really good.
You might be a victim of our own success there.
Never,
They're getting more calls than they can.
but
Get another
but-
bus.
That's a good problem to have.
that is a good problem to have. And then what Phil has said, that looking at that data for the company that we use, they should be monitoring.
Yes.
And then adjusting and saying, okay, they need more drivers, they need another vehicle, they need,
They could-
or longer hours or whatever. So that's the whole point. I mean, that happens so quick. They said that we like the top of all the programs that have been initiated throughout the US that they've done, that we are the first ones to actually have that many in a short period of time.
And Boulder's incredibly envious.
Oh, I know. I know, I've been getting text messages about the new magazine too, that somehow
Yeah.
my picture is in that magazine.
Oh.
I didn't know about it, so
What's the name of that magazine?
Longmont something magazine, I think. I don't know.
Okay.
Y'all didn't know that we got a new Longmont has a new magazine. We're up and coming.
This is in print.
Yes.
Longmont magazine.
That's just part of the time.
Not,
Well,
No,
this is
this is
separate, new
separate.
magazine.
I can see them at Long Speed Pub.
Oh, you do?
Mhm.
Well,
Oh, I
anyway,
can see, yeah.
I've been getting a whole bunch of text messages, and I'm like, I need me a copy of this magazine. Everybody
Yeah.
keeps texting me. Where am I at? Let's go on to the North Area Transportation Alliance Steering Committee. You're welcome, instead of NADA. So, they just basically, it was basically an argument between RTD and CDOT. It got pretty testy.
What was this about?
Just about who was doing what and who's not doing what they're supposed to do. And it wasn't in our area. It's about closing some of the non-performing or lack of areas that lack movement as far as parking rides. And so they were talking about some areas of closing parking rides, and then they said the problem was if you close those areas, then that's going to bring more people
Okay. Yeah.
that are unhoused in those areas because there's no action at all. And so at least it's already lit up and people are over there. So anyway, CDOT was blaming RTD, RTD was blaming CDOT, and so yeah, it was a little drama going on that
You
day.
just had your popcorn and just.
I know, right? It was 7:30 in the morning,
Oh,
so.
no. Coffee.
Coffee.
And then we're supposed to be having a retreat next month. So that's basically that. And where else am I? I did not attend the Longmont Downtown Development Authority because I had a meeting with the housing, which Molly and everybody, remember I did the facilitation for that issue? Yeah, so I wasn't able to attend, and that was our retreat, so I didn't get a chance to attend that. And then what else?
Sister cities?
Sister Cities. That is a lot too. The mayor has completed all of her signature stuff as far as her speeches and all those things. The invitation has been sent out to their mayor for inviting them here. So they're really looking forward to us arriving and they're so organized. Like we had a meeting at 7 o'clock last Saturday, which was 11 o'clock their time to go over everything. They have seating arrangement, who's gonna sit where, all these things. So they're really excited about it. And also they have some questions about the city and economic things that we're gonna talk about, the mayor, myself, and maybe I guess and probably Rachel from the city, I'm not sure, and Courtney to talk about some of the things about what we're doing as a city of Longmont. That's comparable to what they can do, you know, because we're a similar city, although we've grown double the size, they're still in the 50s.
They are?
Yeah, I believe so, like 55, 60,000. That's what they were when we became sister cities with them. So yeah, last thing I want to mention is that April 6th is on a Sunday at the fairgrounds at the big exhibition center. We will have our second annual life skills fair.
Oh, yay. Okay.
This time around, with support from Harold and of course the Youth and Family Services, we're having a parent component. I have nothing to do with the parent component. Not that I have anything to do with anything, but the youth portion of it is all of it together. So that big building is so huge. They're gonna separate it, and they're gonna have some volunteers, probably from the youth council, to come. And I suggest they have wristbands for the parent of one color and the students a different color, and they're gonna go on each side. And so the parents will be learning about city programs. Some vendors will be on both sides, so for the students and also for the parents. So if they're learning about how to stop, drop, and roll, they probably don't do that anymore. They'll be teaching that on both sides, if that makes sense. So the programs and things like that, what the city offers. Target is there again. They're going to be on both sides because they need employees, so they're going to be talking to parents and probably talking to students. Front Range will be on both sides talking about financial aid and telling students about their programs. So, April 6th, I'm pretty sure we'll need some volunteers that's on a Sunday. We'll again have a DJ, have food trucks. I think we have several, over 20 vendors for both sides. So,
Sounds great.
thank you.
You need any seamstresses?
That's what I was gonna ask that as well.
Are you going to
I can do, yeah.
Well,
I'm
yeah.
gonna show them how to make tutus. No,
It will be 4 hours. I think we're going to have it for 4 hours instead of 2 hours because
Okay.
everybody complained about 2 hours was not long enough.
Not long enough, so I can find some people
Yeah.
from the dance studios. Yeah,
Okay.
I have some friends. We
So,
can do a
you know,
solo.
you telling me that means it's set in stone. I'm
It's
just
set in
saying.
stone, I know.
Okay. I'm putting you
I have
down.
to yell and get my sewing machine and we'll
Whatever you gotta do. Don't be putting no fingers up in there. So,
sew my hair in there.
well, I'm saying some of them kids that come over that you may not.
Did you already go?
Well, I don't know.
Oh, no, I haven't gotten it.
Yeah,
Go for it.
come in.
Okay. North I-25 Coalition, Segment 5 received $5 million from Weld County, which is where Weld County Road 34 connects. They had a 5-year flood storm in last May, which left 4-foot deep divots along the side of the highway. And so they're working on flood resilience for a 100-year flood there. This is CDOT. They're also improving the highway as well. And so they used, they're diverting the water into the Little Thompson. They're using dirt work and engineering techniques. Appreciate that CDOT has been working segment by segment, so only portions of I-25 are torn up at one time, which differs from RTD's process, I'm just saying. Where they just tore everything up going into Boulder. There was some conversation about lane splitting. Let me see, I do have other notes. This is, of course, very important to everybody. Lane splitting is illegal. However, if you're going less than 15 miles per hour, motorcycles are able to lane split, just so you know, and go down the center. And they're adding shoulders, wider shoulders in particular segments so that EMS vehicles can get through accident sites quicker. Let's see. That's pretty much it for the I-25 coalition. Visit Longmont. The World Ice Competition is February 22nd through the 23rd. That's next weekend. And it's at the Climbing Collective out
The World Ice Competition.
Yes, yes,
They-
the
they
end of the
actually
year is
built
coming
a
here
nice
for the
wall.
World Ice
Where's it gonna be at?
Climbing
At the
competition.
Climbing
Climbing
At the Climbing
Oh.
Collective, which is kind of out by Smuckers.
Okay,
Walmart.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So we'll have a lot of people in the city.
yes, yes.
Best
There's-
behavior, everyone, right?
Well,
Ah. What date is that?
the 22nd through the 23rd of February.
That trolley.
And they do have VIP tickets, I think they're like $129 or something. And then you get like solid toilets, if you pay that fee. So otherwise there'll be porta potties out there. It's kind of cool, I'm just saying. Yeah.
Why,
yeah.
why here?
Why not?
Here? Why
I'm
not?
just curious, why?
Cause we're here.
Yeah.
I mean,
Because
if
we are
that's
the
the
place
reason,
to
it's
have it.
impressive.
Yeah, I know, they've been planning it for the last year and a half.
The owner is really aggressive in marketing, yeah, she is, in marketing that.
For the Climbing Collective?
Yeah.
And so,
They have the Climbing Collective has a really strong relationship with the climbing community. So just generally, so if you've ever heard of Alex Honnold,
Yeah.
so they have connections with him and other folks. Now that's a different group because this is ice climbing. It used to be in Denver.
I see.
But yeah, in terms of climbers, that group is connected.
Should be pretty interesting. At least
Very.
stop by and take a look. So February 25th, which is next Tuesday, the Visit Longmont group will be bringing the TID to council, which is the Tourism Improvement District concept. They also, as a liaison, they gave me a contract to sign.
Wow.
And after talking to City Attorney May, he and I have decided that I should not sign that contract, so
Oh.
I'll be signing that contract. They require things of their board members, and it
Oh.
just kind of goes beyond what I can do as a council member. Yeah, so. The fire and police pension boards are meeting next Wednesday, February 26th. Mayor and I are on that, so somehow we're always out of cycle. But,
Yeah.
And the water board brought cash in lieu fees for the water council last month, brought the water conservation strategy to council last month. And the council approved both. And then I wrote an endorsement to help Hazra receive help from the Water Conservancy District to host a community water academy, which we got approved for. So September 2025, and they're mostly water stories to explain. I don't know if y'all are aware, but the headwaters for the Colorado River are just right up by Clear Valley there in Rocky Mountain National Park. I mean, it's really kind of a big stewardship. The relationship we have with water here, because it all starts here. So, so it's kind of nice to inform the public and explain why we conserve.
It is. It's
Yeah.
always a concern, especially with development, is that,
Right.
how does this work?
Right. And Colorado River is one of the most dammed rivers in the United States. Just read a book called Damned.
That's like 2 M's, not an M.
Yeah, damned, yeah. A lot of photographs. And it was interesting because a lot of the photographs, I'm like, oh, I've been there, you know, because it
Yeah.
starts here.
Yeah.
So, the Vision Zero Task Force met, was it last Thursday? It was Thursday before. We could have used you there. It was kind of skinny. We met at the senior center,
Right.
and it's supposed to be the first Thursday of even months, so the next one will be April 3rd. We're breaking down into 2 groups where we're looking over the data and gonna agree on what the data says, and then there's another that's gonna work more on process, I guess. We're not getting into any policy or anything. But I would like to see more people attend, so I'm trying to promote that. I wonder about using the senior center because of all the construction there. So a lot of the people that came were from, you know, just the downtown.
Yeah, but all the people who complained the meeting before, the meeting we were at, they wanted to move around the city.
Right,
Other than that, we could have just had it here.
right. But it seems like it's just gonna be at the senior center, but I think it's kind of complicated to find your way around. At least I took two different turns to get actually to the senior center. We had coffee with council on Saturday. The 3 of us were there. It was a well-behaved group. I wanted to talk about the missing middle and the defect law legislation and a review of Envision Longmont, about empty commercial sites in town and about green space, particularly some of the issues over at Hoover Acres. And then, you know, protecting our views in terms of height for new buildings. And there was some detailed questions about the LPC smart meters, which I'm glad you both were there to talk about. And then just if we could have supplementary agreements for open space that surrounds Longmont. Yeah. And then we had issues with the microphones. That's one of the biggest things. So
That was
Sandy said
that was
she was going
objectively
to.
the most controversial part.
Yeah, she was going to throw those away and start over, and then somebody said we should have a podium, and Sandy said, I'm not going to be responsible for carrying the podium. Whatever. So,
Oh my.
yeah, so might just have a mic stand.
Exactly.
Someone said you're out of ADA compliance if you're shouting and not speaking into a microphone. So all kinds of things.
Yes, that gets mentioned every time. We don't just-
Same lady every time.
Yes.
I know who that is.
Oh, yeah.
Same
Yeah,
person.
yeah. Aaron,
So, Housing and Human Services, I believe they generally go a little light at the beginning of the year because they have such a backloaded schedule. So basically,
Sorry, why do they have a back schedule?
So they-
Everyone knows the joke that I don't.
not really, but they provide their grant recommendations to the various organizations, and before they do that, they interview and tour all the organizations. So it takes a long time, and it's very, you know, a lot more meetings beyond their 1 per month, like most boards would.
And does that feed into the budget cycle of the city? Is that why it's like kind of mid to end of year? Housing?
The Human Service Agency funding, they get 3% of the revenues from the general fund. So it doesn't necessarily fit into the budget. The budget says this is how much money you have.
It just happens at the same time. of the year.
Right.
So it's just,
So they primarily, like, most of their agendas have been reviewing 2024, looking, forward at 2025 goals, and specifically one was having a conversation surrounding CDBG funding, not knowing the certainty of how that funding is going to be, in the future. As far as planning and zoning, as you can imagine, every time we have this meeting is the week before planning and zoning. Or the day before planning and zoning, I should say. There are 2 meetings in January. The first one I would say was probably the more substantial one, and I'm sure council has already heard about it because it involved a denied decision for a quick trip in a parcel that they previously have denied development for before, that we upheld that appeal. So it's an appeal that's coming to us. I think you all have probably gotten the email from Jeremy Tyrell about that. And then the second meeting,
Can I just make a quick note on that?
okay,
It's very likely I will have to recuse myself from that. I was not present at the commission meeting, but for reasons that, once I clarify with the city attorney, I may have to recuse from that vote, so just a heads up.
so the second meeting of January was primarily focused around kind of education and training. I know there was a LURA training and there's some other training, but I think the big thing was that they began providing guidance concerning the mobility plan. And that's what's on the schedule tomorrow, is they're continuing their review of the mobility plan. It's the transportation mobility plan is what's called, right?
The transportation mobility plan, yeah.
Yeah. So they started it last month and they're continuing it tomorrow. So there you go.
One thing that Shakita, when you mentioned CDOT and RTD going at each other about park and rides, what RTD is doing is they have a huge park and ride, I think it is in Thornton, that they are going to build affordable housing on.
Yep.
And I had heard this years ago when Eric Davidson first got elected, but they might be looking at that park and ride and the maintenance building on 287. No, it used to be, it is a stop now. Well, it used to be when we had LX1. So we should keep our eye open for that. That is one way they're trying to make dollars as well, but they really sold that land very cheaply to the developer. So I think that their point is, if we're going to do TOD, then we're not going to need all this park and ride space, because it's going to be, people are going to be actually living next to the rail.
Oh, that's not what they were saying in there. They were,
Well, what did they say?
well, there were a lot of people complaining about that's the only transportation, that's the stop with people who live in that area that come from downtown Denver, and it stops there, and that's the park and ride off, because it's right off of the I-25. And they said, oh, we're gonna move it down, what is that, Grant, what street is that it's on? Anyway, they're talking about moving it down maybe a mile, and they're like, no way. That's the problem. They did talk about the housing portion, but people were not happy, period, about that. Because like you said, there was talks about it years ago, and they were saying, well, what can we do to redirect people back to that parking ride? So I don't know what's gonna happen.
I don't either. RTD's coming out with some strange things at the Northwest Mayors and Commissioners Coalition meeting. Lynn Dysinger, who is the director for Boulder, a little part of Longmont, but not enough for her to care about Longmont. She had said in August for her update that the LX1 was either going to come back in January or June. And I said, well, this is the 4th year I've heard this, so I don't believe you.
Next one is the one to the airport.
No, LX1 is the one-seat ride from Longmont to Union Station that a lot of people would ride, and they took it away. So just last week, she gave another update, and she said, I was not happy. She said, well, I think we're going to bring back limited service on the LX1 in September of 2025. I said, wait a minute. Just 3 months ago, you told us it would be either January or June. I said, that's why I'm putting all my efforts in the front range passenger rail, because do not believe what RTD is saying at all. She was head down riding furiously. She wasn't looking at me. But, I just, they don't know what they're doing. And there's a new bill that's out, 161, SB 161, that is reimagining the management staff of RTD. My problem is that, my concerns with it is that a lot of their mandates for reports and everything is gonna be in 2026. So they have like 2 years, and I thought, no, do it now. You give them too much leeway. So I'm very frustrated by
And that explains CDOT because actually that parking lot is part of their I-25 mobility plan.
it. Yes.
And it's on there, so I can see why CDOT's pretty hot about that.
And the other thing that they keep telling us when I ask them, why are you giving 2 more buses to Boulder and none to us? Give them one and give us one.
Yeah.
At least, I'm not saying we don't need any more, but they are now using, it used to be ridership, they would say we couldn't have it for ridership, but now they're using, they call it value added. And I said, what's the value? What's the add? They can't answer that. None of the directors can describe that,
It's a
but
good
now they are
catchphrase.
literally saying,
catchphrase.
now they're literally saying Title VI.
Marketers would use that value added all the time to talk about how you.
Whatever
add
they wanted
something
to do.
Something, but
Yeah.
there's no value added.
So Title VI now is what they're using, and if you don't know what Title VI is, the NAACP, I think it was in the 1960s, that for racial equity, and I said, excuse me, we're 30% Hispanic, Mexican, all the Americas. Not to mention the 700 families of Nepalese we have here. Why are you using Title VI against us to remove our bus routes? So,
And Boulders has a higher population of Nepalese.
No.
I'm
But
joking,
Erie
I'm
is on
joking.
his way.
I'm choking.
Yeah.
What about the Skyride? Are they ever gonna bring back the bus?
well, that's what Karen is working on, so,
Is that?
yeah. Yes, so, well,
Can I ask
you
one
can ask her.
question for Aaron, actually? So one of the follow-on discussions at the PZ meeting, which was actually the one I had to resign at, because I was appointed but not sworn in, so that was the last one. It was a follow-up on the TMP, was looking at bike parking standards in the code. And more interested in understanding the council's process here and how we handle this. In a very quick nutshell, the bike code has not been updated, particularly for bike parking requirements, since 2014. So it's currently for any new development, it's 5% of the vehicular parking spaces is how that minimum of bike parking is determined for any type of development, residential, commercial, retail. And it's indiscriminate there. As the city got rid of parking minimums last year, now there's not even a requirement for the developer to even go towards that. And I'm wondering if tying, so we were exploring in the P&Z meeting whether tying bike parking minimums to particular parking spaces is one, set at the right percentage, and two, the right tie-in and alignment in the first place, especially as e-bikes really take rise in the Front Range, which for perspective in the state, I think they're estimating by 2030, 2032 about 1.5 million, 120,000 e-bikes, not a million, 120,000 e-bikes across the Front Range. But that would be about 1/10 of the registered vehicles in Colorado as of a few years ago. So it's a pretty sizable amount, and that's e-bikes, not even including regular bikes. So we were exploring whether to update it. We don't have to get into a discussion of whether we should or what threshold right now. I'm just curious from a process standpoint, how does commission get information? We learn about information. How do we then offer direction vis-a-vis council to staff or some of the committees or boards if that is the direction we want to go? How does that work?
Well, I say, generally speaking, we don't get code change unless there's more than one for efficiency's sake. Obviously, it's not to have a standalone code change on an agenda. So usually we get it in packages.
Yeah, I think when they bring that to you all, they'll present on all of that and tell you what the board's recommending, planning commission's recommending. You all can then evaluate that if you want to look at doing something different or change
But
it.
it wasn't coming to the board. It was like a study session format for
Right.
that, and it's not part of the TMP. So so it was more a topic that we ran into from some developments at the time. Them
Oh.
building what we thought were an inadequate number, but they were building more than the minimum. But like, for the new Ziggy's off of airport, the minimum there, if they have 30 vehicular parking spaces, is 1.5.
Yeah.
And a U-Rack is 2 spaces to begin with. So they're required to build 1 U-Rack for a coffee shop next to multifamily and RMN areas. So we ran into that where like requiring more than the minimum would have treated them differently.
I think when they bring the TNP to council, is your point
To integrate this
to
in.
integrate that in.
So this would be a reason, is that something we should give them direction in advance of that? Because I don't know what the right threshold is, like, it's not an easy answer. Probably it should be by different types of zoning, different,
For different uses.
Yeah.
Let me get with them.
Okay.
Great question.
Cool, thanks. I was just trying to understand the process, thank you.
So let's go with these liaisons, and everybody tell me what you think. It came up basically in a conversation that we had early on council because of Marcia being absent. But Marcia has 6 different boards that she was on. And what I want to know, the boards that we're on, do you think, because we've all been there quite a few times, do we need to go every month? Do some of them only quarterly? Do we need to do this at all? And just think about the boards that you're on. I know that the Historic Preservation wants me there every, or whoever it is, every meeting, and so does NGLA, Neighborhood Group Leaders Association. But I don't know about the others, so you look too comfortable.
Huh?
You look incredible.
I got cold.
What's the reason that historic gives? Like, I understand why NGLA wants one, but having sat on
I
historic for
know.
like 6 years.
They said because some of their decisions, like every decision, even planning and zoning, takes more than one board meeting, and they would want the consistency of knowledge from the liaison to go with that.
I
I don't-
hadn't seen that from the Historic Preservation Commission in the past either.
I asked them at the retreat, and they said we would like you there every meeting, and I thought,
Do they televise that one? No. No, they do it in chambers, but they don't televise it.
Which ones are recorded?
Oh,
Oh, okay.
all of them are?
Technically,
Pretty much all city advisory boards are recorded,
Oh, okay.
but only P&Z and council are live streamed.
I see. Different from last year.
Yeah.
I would definitely say, from a point of view of the Airport Advisory Board, having covered that for the last couple of times, if you can, and to Harold's point, to be there to kind of stop things from getting a little out of hand as they can there. And it's not always the board members that are do. It's a lot of the community that kind of gets that one ratcheted up, that it's good to have a council liaison there each month.
Okay. What other ones are you on?
The Parks and Open Space, and that's another one that I feel like there's an expectation from
For
me to be
everything.
there. Now, but then when I look at my golf board and the Longmont Public Media, and they could probably do every other month or
Quarterly?
quarterly. Definitely, for the sake of knowing where the other county communities are, being at that county, the consortium of cities is important.
So I'm sorry, consortium cities is what?
Is every other month, so that's definitely
Oh,
a.
okay, Shakita?
I think that the ones that we're voting, where we vote, our voices make a difference. I think we should attend every month. The ones that we don't have to vote on, we're non-voting, I think it could be once a quarter. I think, since all of them are recorded anyway, I think the requirement should be once a quarter if you're non-voting. I do, however, like for myself, for anyone who's on transportation, I think it is I think it's, there's so much information going on that is, one would want to probably go as much as possible, but since you're not voting, there's been many times where there's talks about the budget, the CIPs, the finances, and number one thing I tell Phil is like, you need to get Teresa over here to go over the budget, you know, because I don't want to be the one to say,
Exactly.
you know what I'm saying? So I said you need to have someone to come in and go over the budget so that they can understand what's in there, you know, when Jim was still here. So so I do think that there's so much going on with transportation. That will be a board I would say we should still have, especially with all the action going on Kaufman and, you know, and with everything, we got a lot going on with transportation. So I think for the most part, generally, if you're not voting, I would say every quarter. But you have enough intuition to understand, a discernment to know which ones you need to go to attend every month if there's a lot going on.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
I just realized as I'm going through all mine, I'm all non-voting liaison.
There's a lot of voting now. I've been.
There's a lot of non-voting, but, you know, so youth council, I go once a month. I don't go to everyone. They meet the second and fourth Tuesday. And even then, I'm almost wondering, because they're a working group, is it really necessary that we have a council representative there?
At the Longmont Youth Council.
At the Longmont Youth Council. So, you know, the museum and the library board, you know, and arts and public places, and I forgot to share that stuff. But they, even though I'm a non-voting member, one of the things that the members, the council had, the board had expressed is that they like that I'm there to at least listen to what the priorities are, what the direction is. And, you know, it's helpful for me, but, you know, in the event that I have to not, you know, if I'm unavailable, I could watch it, or, you know, I could just get I know one time I had to miss arts and public places, and I just sent out my, you know, council updates, and then if anyone had any questions, we just kind of did it via email. And then she gave me an update on the notes and all that, so.
The ones that I go to, we are memberships. We pay a membership for Community Solutions, NADA, Dr. Cog. So those, yeah, I'm going to those. But the other two I'm on, NGLA and Historic Preservation, and one is there. And the other thing, before I move on, is what do they want from us? Do they want council updates? Do they want us just to listen? Do they want us there in case they have questions? So those are things maybe pay attention to. So,
I've been filling in at the water board, and I think I need to continue doing that,
okay.
especially now I've committed to this water academy.
Oh.
It's all yours.
And I agree with Councilor Yarborough about the North I-25 coalition. There's always a lot of moving parts, and it's good to know what's going on. The Visit Longmont, I think they would like to have me there every month, but it doesn't change as much as, I mean, I don't think it changes as much as maybe they anticipate, you know, it's kind of it's, you know, they're building things, so, you know, like with this ice championship too. We've been doing that for a year and a half, so apply as needed, but I do like going there. I will mention that the Senior Citizen Advisory Board came on Saturday to the Coffee with Council and said they wondered when they might have another liaison.
And that's what,
It was one of Marcia's.
It was Marcia's.
yeah, we're going to go through those really fast and see if Matthew wants what's left or not.
That makes it feel so exciting.
Well, if it was the beginning of the year, we could all change.
Look, I'm a huge fan of leftovers, this is fine.
You
Me
will,
too.
after the election, you will re-divvy
Yes.
officially for the
Yeah.
next.
Yeah.
Sure.
full
No, that's fine,
council.
I was fully expecting to just take Councilmember Martin's roles, but if that's not how I'm close.
Aaron?
Well, I'm going to speak from my larger role of experience, not just the ones I have right now.
Correct.
Apparently, and I would say that I absolutely agree that if we're a voting member, you got to be at those meetings. And those, by and large, are the external boards.
Yeah.
And so, as for the internal boards, especially because of the fact that they're recorded, I don't, unless they're one that they really like council input for whatever odd reason, I don't think it's critical that you go every week. Like, I definitely watch back planning and zoning meetings, for instance, because also,
We're on it.
you're welcome, it's thrilling to watch. It makes Lord of the Rings seem like really short movies.
That's good.
And also, I'm able, in case somebody made a comment that, I might have glossed over it when I was rewinding, so that's nice. I wish it was a little easier to access some of the other videos for the other boards and commissions. Or just like,
They're all on YouTube
they're all on YouTube. So, fair enough.
and should each have their own grouping.
So, I get to watch the lovely commercials.
We're running into LRJ time,
Yeah.
so can
So
we say,
that was the point, is that if the videos are available, then that usually provides you enough context for what was on the agenda. So,
And if there's a staff on the board too, like Jim and Phil goes to NADA, I mean, what am I voting on? That I'm there, but Phil knows everything. I can't respond to what, because that stuff is so from years ago and they're just coming to the surface now.
correct?
I don't know. That's something
Well,
to
just,
think about.
I would say with that, take his direction.
Oh, I do, because I don't know what I'm doing.
Well, there you go. So shall I say, the voting ones, we already said we need to be at, but what about the other ones? Can we just put them on a quarterly or every 2 weeks, depending upon what board you're on? See how that works for the rest of the year?
You mean every other
2
month?
months, every other month, right? Not
Either
every 2 weeks, or.
I said weeks
Yeah.
before.
Well, some just lend themselves, obviously, to going once a month
Yeah.
and being there. The others are like, you don't want to start bailing if you can help it.
Yeah, so here are the boards. I think that you, Sean, you had airport advisory, you took that over.
I took that over for Martin, but certainly that could go to,
Do you want to keep it? That's my point.
no, I think it should go to Matthew.
I get so many emails about this already, I might as well understand the issues.
Okay. Diane, you had water board, you want to keep it?
I'll keep it.
Okay. The other ones then are senior citizens, when they asked for LMAC, Longmont Multicultural Action Committee. They don't have we can leave them blank for the rest of the year probably. But if you want LMAC,
I was
Is
gonna
it?
offer to take
Yeah.
senior citizen.
yeah, I was gonna help you do that one.
You
I was
can
gonna
make,
help
you can make that?
It's once a month, right? I
Yes.
can make that once a month.
Okay.
Yeah, I can make that once a month, and then I can certainly cover CML and SAB if no one else is covering those. If that would be
What was
helpful.
the other one?
Sustainability Advisory Board,
Oh, yeah,
that'd be helpful.
that'd be very helpful,
And then CML,
yes. And Windy Gap, we don't need anybody anymore, they're done.
okay.
Okay.
You wanna keep P and Z?
If you want it, you can have it.
Keep
I'm
going.
not looking to take it from you if you want it. But, I know it, so it wouldn't be hard if you wanted to relinquish that one, free up some time.
What is it, Kinsey?
P and Z, sorry.
Oh, P and Z, I thought you said Kinsey. Yeah.
If you want to take on that much.
That's a lot.
That's a lot, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, then you can keep the rest.
After you're elected.
We'll see how the next 10 months goes.
Yeah.
If you like us enough, you'll run.
Yeah.
Well, I won't be here, so you don't have to let me.
Okay, that's it. That's all
You
I've
do
got.
you.
Cool. Did you get what you needed?
CML, SAB,
maybe-
AAB, and senior citizen.
So FYI, really fast, next week, we need
Oh.
go ahead and say what you want.
Oh, so next week, you'll have to remind me when in the agenda we do this, but I'll be asking for 3 virtual attendances to city council based on previously scheduled professional obligations, if that's all right. Don't worry, there's no lease out of state that I'm signing, but.
That's the same, Ward 2's gonna be so.
I know.
No, it's once in April for the siting and permitting conference in Seattle that I'm going to for work, and then twice the first 2 weeks of August for the National Brownfields Conference, which is for work, but actually is had
And
to.
what day is that one in April?
That's the 16th of April, I think it is. So when
I just-
everyone is relieved from finishing their taxes.
I just have to, I'm gonna be absent on the 21st.
So that'll be the request. I think those are the only conflicts I have with the rest of the year.
As a reminder, please email the city manager staff if you
Yeah.
know you're gonna be out of office, because we're trying to keep the calendar to watch
Yeah.
for.
Make sure we have
When the
Thank you.
council are gonna be out.
Okay.
Miss meetings, to email CMO staff.
Now I just know when you guys send me somewhere.
So we are adjourned, we need to get LHA.
LHA, all right.